Archive memory access. If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
Will was like, gotta get him in there quick.
Trying to click quick.
What is going on, everyone? And welcome back to, after a long-awaited, maybe overdue, Tales from the Archives. I am Grayson of Mortis FM. With me is that guy. Why don't you go first?
I am Will the Force. I have a beard now.
He does. And then there's that guy.
Seth from Beyond the Dune Sea.
Dude, the man, the myth, the legend, the new
Oh,
Mike.
you knocked that off.
Dude, you guys are both legends in my hearts, okay? And you guys both have beautiful, long brown hair. I'm not quite there yet. Maybe
I'm
one
gonna be
day.
honest with you. When I let you guys in and I walked out to go get this jacket from the mailbox,
It literally came in the mail.
Literally today. Literally
That's great.
And I was like, I'm gonna open it right before Super Chris. A live reaction. Do you want to plug? Seth?
Yeah, Seth.
Make your money, dude.
Well, I was going to say, guys, Beyond the Dune Sea just started a merch store. As you can see, there's a lovely hoodie that Will of the Force is sporting right now. It says, it's like poetry. They rhyme, which is from, the maker himself. Okay. And then I can see on Grayson from Mortis FM, on top of his lovely head, you can see a tan Beyond the Dune Sea cap that has our logo on it. So yes, I really appreciate you guys supporting us and the store and everything. That that is amazing. So
yeah.
Dude, I feel like the odd man out. I'm not wearing any merch. I thought that would be faux pas. Then look at you guys, because I thought about it. I was like, Mos Eisley shirt, my shirt. Mos Eisley shirt, my shirt. And I'm like, Mos Eisley. So then when I went out the door, and then yeah. So, but I'm happy you guys are enjoying it.
Oh, it's awesome merch. Now that like Will just got the hoodie, I'm like, dude, this is I gotta get me one of those, especially because we'll be meeting up in like a little less than a month. Maybe we'll make that maybe more public later on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Will, what were you saying? You're like, before I got on the stream, you said something like, Grayson, you're like,
I was gonna say, well, first off, hey everybody, if you check the chat, the merch store is now linked in the chat.
Legend.
Click that link for the Beyond the Dune Sea merch store. I was gonna say, Grayson, your hair's looking a little long in the back there, Bubba. You got some lettuce, some lechuga.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Are we gonna be triplets? Are we all gonna be
merging?
twinsies?
We're just morphing.
Oh my gosh.
We're like, it's like, what are the Dragon Ball Z characters that do like this or whatever? But that's like,
it's a fusion dance.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Gotcha. I was thinking that maybe we'd be the stages of life.
Or Animorphs.
Yes. Or Animorphs. That would work too.
Dude, that's so funny, bro. Somebody want to work on that Photoshop. I know Will, if you give him enough time, he'll do it. Bro made a Quinlan Voss just like Jason Momoa question mark thing like in the middle of a live stream one time or something. Or no, it was Admiral Enigma. That's what it was.
Enigma.
Question mark.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's interact with people in the chat, because people are, specifically me and Will, we've been a little dormant on our respective platforms. You guys over there have been killing it with your Lord of the Rings stuff. JT trying to tell me that I shouldn't have my phone in low power mode. Okay, whatever. Hey man, how you doing?
That's weird advice.
Yeah, he said not.
Hey, lady.
Sorry.
Well, bye, lady. See you later.
I'll see you later. We'll play some
four guys that aren't Cole will work.
If we were One Direction, Cole is like Zayn, where he just left the band and then he makes better stuff, and he's just so much better. And that's all.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say Harry Styles. You're a Zayn guy. Interesting.
I'm not a Zayn guy. I was just saying.
Can I be Harry?
Metaphor.
I'm Harry Styles.
Can I be Harry? I like tacos.
I went to LA back in June, and I went to his favorite cafe in Hollywood. It was weird.
Yeah.
He wasn't there.
Oh.
No.
Wow. Okay.
It was good. I got a good cheeseburger.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
A cafe cheeseburger.
It was like a gourmet Waffle House.
Huh.
Yeah. It's like at the base of the Hollywood Hills.
Waffle
interesting.
House, and it's spelled H-A-U umlaut.
It's European.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hey, Daniel Barry.
Happy Saturday to you. Thank you for being here.
Daniel Barry sports highlights. Texas just whacked Michigan, by the way. So thank you. Barry.
The hoodie
Noah's
does look
here.
crazy. It's dope.
Buddy.
I gotta get one.
Tony with a super chat. Glad Will came out of retirement. Yeah, I'm currently in my cave on Dagobah. So
I was gonna say you're in like the island of Octo right now, just like self-imposed isolation. Whatever
No,
works.
He's just working on himself. He's gonna come out.
That's true.
Jedi Master. That's what it is.
No, it's true, bro. Listen,
Yeah.
Will's probably gonna get embarrassed, but this man's been putting in work in all areas of his life. Bro's hitting the gym. Just saying, bro.
Yeah, dude, I went for a nice 3-mile run like right before this. I'm just trying
was
to get
the-
outside of the heat.
What was the time? Is that too much? I want to know.
On the run?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to
Is that
pull
like-
up my Strava, which makes me
Oh,
sound
okay.
like such a freaking dork.
What
which
is
I'm
that?
not. Strava. It's for runners. Sorry, dude.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, dude.
I know you like running. I hate running, dude.
I
Hate
really
it.
do. Will getting jacked. Not like you, Noah. Here's
No.
The goal is to look like I could be in the ring for WWF, but Noah, you actually could do it.
Yeah.
With like the high boots and like war paint and all that stuff.
I always joke that Noah, the reason he's called Noah Nation is not because it's like a lot of people that follow him. It's because he's the size of a nation. So
He could have a small ecosystem population on his back from shoulder to shoulder.
he sent me. We have a group chat for when we play Fortnite with Laney, JT, Noah, and he's just sent one night, like after we got off Fortnite, he just sent like him in his kitchen, just like eating Greek yogurt, and I was like, this dude. Anyway, well, we're glad you guys are here. We got to play Fortnite. Honestly, we can do a trio. Do you still play Fortnite, Will?
My Xbox is in storage.
No! If you were in the European Union, you could play on iOS.
Yeah, but that would make me a thumb scrub.
Yeah. I mean, you could get one of those like things that you can, whatever. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. One day. I just need, you running around as Luke.
That's the only time I ever jumped on for a skin.
Marvel is happening right now. Doctor Doom, Black Panther, Captain America, War Machine, all in the game. Mysterio, dude.
The Colossus skin looks really cool.
Dude, I have Cyclops, Colossus, and Jubilee, bro. It's pretty sick.
Jubilee is my favorite X-Men.
Are you hating on Jubilee, bro?
I'm just going to say, out of all the episodes of the new season of X-97,
okay,
if you had to skip one, which one you skipping?
Is it the first half of what, episode 4 or something?
The one with Jubilee, when she's in the.
I know, but it's only the first half of an episode. They like put 2 episodes anyway. Star Wars. That's why you're here, right? Star Wars is cool. People on the fandom say it's not cool anymore. I disagree, all right? And we're here to deliver the goods, and that is the second half of Star Wars The Living Force, a book that we 3 finished quite a bit ago, in fact. It's probably been about 2 months since we finished it. But the good thing is I took notes, and I think you guys did too. So this is going to be a lot more casual. Hey, kid, fly casual. I'm not going to try to get too heavy-handed with it. There's a lot of moving parts in this book. If you were here for the last stream, you'll follow right along. If you want to go back and listen to the first one, probably was way too long-winded, but it's still probably worth your time.
We'll do better next time. This time.
Here's the thing about Tales from the Archives is like we get into these. The reason it's live is so we can cut up and have fun, because I mean it has been far too long since I've interacted with my 2 good friends here, and so hopefully this is the start. This is the catalyst of kind of getting back on the horse, as MJ says in Spider-Man 3. No, Peter says that to MJ. Anyway, deep cut reference there. To get back to Tales from the Archives and start covering some Star Wars content, because there was news that they're gonna dial it back to only 1 show a year, which is probably a good thing. So we've got Skeleton Crew in December, but for now we're kind of in a little bit of a void, which, again, I think that's a good thing. So, The Living Force. I think we left off. Did I cover everything, guys?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect.
I was trying to remember what those horses were called from The Last Jedi because you made a horse reference.
The Last Jedi, those, oh gosh, I remember the ones, there's other ones that are called Steelies, but that is in Light of the Jedi.
I don't remember. You said back on the horse, and I was like, what's a Star Wars horse? That thing.
But there's also the horses in Rise of Skywalker.
What about Tauntauns? They're kind of like horses.
They kind of are. Like horse T-Rex things. Llamas, you know?
But Tauntauns only have... No, hey, I'm a Star Wars fan. Tauntauns only have 2 legs.
Yes, but they serve the same purpose as like...
I don't know. They're like furry lizards.
Lizard?
Yeah, dude. They have those big dino tails, dude. They're like T-Rexes. If a T-Rex was a goat, it would be a Tauntaun.
Father! That's what it is.
Yeah.
Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And with that...
I will ruin that quote in 2 ways. So we left off on The Living Force. We were supposed to go up to 31, and I slacked because I didn't read fast enough. And so we only got to chapter 28. So we're leaving off at chapter 29. We have the entire back half of this book to go through. All right. I'm not recapping the first half. Go back and watch the last episode if you are curious about that.
Even though the first chapter of this book, or the prologue, or whatever it is probably the best part of this book.
Come on, dog.
Qui-Gon, dude. That's the best part of the book.
It is a pretty good part of the book. Yeah, so there's a lot of moving pieces going on, especially on the planet of Quinn, which is most of this is happening, but there's a few other stuff happening about. So we're going to chapter 29. It's a Yaddle chapter. I'm going to try to break these down into chunks of 5, and if we go through and people don't really have like specific little discussion points, we'll just get to the end, and then we can just freeform rant, talk about our thoughts. So chapter 29, Yaddle, she goes to the local news station, the Hollow Feed program, to talk about what the Jedi are doing there as a collective. She talks to a girl named Morna, who is not doing well. She's got some mental health issues. And Yaddle kind of helps calm her down and talks her through it. Chapter 30, Depa Balaba is about to be executed. Kyla, the little girl that has been working with the Rift Walkers, I'm shocked how much I'm remembering right now, actually. Tries to save her. She's like, you got to get out of here. Can't figure out how to do it. So Zalastra, our main antagonist, comes back to finish the job. And with her captains, but she's drawn away by an unknown message. We don't really know as the audience why this is the case. Some very timely Deus Ex Machina. But anyway, chapter 30, one of my favorite chapters. Yarrow Poof arrives on Quinn at Brazada Key, one of the islands, and him and Kiadi Mundi. They're having some more friendly banter as they do, which is one of my favorite parts of this book, and attempt to find a way to deal with one of the gangs that is within one of the main gangs of the book, the Staved Skulls, and they discover that their boss is running like an extortion out of one of the other keys, like from different businesses and stuff. Chapter 32, Zalastra is running around the base with not really an explanation. Even her right-hand man, Burlug, is like, what's going on? She gets to the other crews that, if you remember, she killed all of their leaders, and she reveals that she did it, but she makes a power play to try to unite them for a greater goal, which she quotes, a pirate's dream. Okay. Chapter 33, Plo, Stacey Tin, and Aparensis, they rescue a beached Oroko, which is like a native creature, kind of this like weird starfish, squid, crab thing. We don't really know. It's interesting. Named Kuruku. The Filthy Creds have been poaching their like nodule deposits. They have like these mineral deposits that they leave. It's another one of the gangs. And so Stacey and Plo debate the nature of like the outpost, and then if shutting it down is going to be inevitable or not with the state that Quinn is in. I'll I'll do this chapter and then we can take a pause. Chapter 34. Eth Koth is relieved from his searching duties. He's searching around for pieces of evidence from the Jedi outpost in I think it's the Lamplighter Boutique is what it's called. So Yaddle and Evan Peel, they show up. They're like, "Hey, we'll help you. Get out of here. Go enjoy the planet. That's what we're supposed to do, right?" So he goes exploring. He it says admiring Kinawa. What is Kinawa? I'm blanking on that. Is that I think that's one of the islands. I think it's Kinawaki. That's where he's on. So he finds a bar at the docks to get a bite to eat. He took in all the sights and whatever. You know what, Will? I know you're looking it up. I have a map on my phone actually saved right now, so I could confirm.
Oh, okay.
I sent it to Cole, planning out my campaign.
Says it's Star Wars Canon.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, Kinawa Key is the island directly north of the capital key on Quinn. So he's hanging out there. He gets a bite to eat, gets something to drink, and he's attempted to be coerced and robbed by a Faline, most notable from Black Sun, named Anissa, who works for another one of the gangs, the Poison Blades. He stops her, and then he reveals that he's a Jedi. He gives her kind of an option for a better life, and said if you don't want to be in this life, I can help you. It's kind of a more of a friendly altercation, and then she's called away from a call with several other of the Poison Blades with her. Doing a good job so far. Any thoughts?
I like Yariel Poof.
He's great, dude.
Yes.
I think because I think in the chapter this might be a little bit so in an upcoming chapter there's a really funny one that was one of my favorites where they go to that pub. But I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Yariel and Kiadi Mundi, they kind of put the characters in pairs. So this group's doing this thing and this group's doing this thing, and they're all kind of small objectives that link to the main plot, which is Depa Billaba and the main antagonist. Because even at this point, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are still not on the planet yet. They do come into play eventually. You're just kind of what are they doing?
This book is very Game of Thrones, where it's oh man, I want to keep hearing more about this. Oh no, I have to hop over to these guys.
That is
see what they're doing.
I'll go ahead and say that is probably I don't know if it's a valid critique of the book, but it did make it a little
horrible.
You don't like it?
I'll come out and no, there's too many characters. I get what they're trying to do,
right?
But there's so much of these stories that are just not important to what's going on. There's only one really important story that's going on, and then everybody else is oh no, there's these problems going on.
But eventually they do connect together.
Eventually, yes, which is the part that reminds me of a Clone Wars episode. And then other than that, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, so I read Light of the Jedi, which was a book that I enjoyed, and it kind of does a similar thing on a slightly smaller scale where it's here's this pair of Jedi, and then here's this pair of Jedi, and here's this pair of Jedi, but it is a little bit more deliberate on what is happening. You can see the connection, not coming from a mile away, but you can see oh, okay, these all make sense. Whereas you'll read a chapter about the Saci 10 Plo Koon one with Opera Rancisis saving the Oroko thing, and you're what the heck is this? And it feels I remember vividly the episode that introduced the Purrgil in Rebels. Yeah. And that chapter is that, where I was that's a cool thing. Yeah. And then finally, it didn't, that episode, I think was in season 2, did not pay off until later, at the end of the show, right?
Yeah, in which I get that. A lot of this stuff is paid off later, but still.
Oh, yeah.
Got there faster, I feel like. But that's okay. Just keep going. We haven't talked about Zelestra's hands yet, have we?
We have. It was revealed.
We did talk about it in the last. I didn't think that we got that far yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so she revealed that she, when she blew up the thermal detonator, it blew up her hands, and so she now has. It's unclear if she has cybernetic hands or other people's hand.
I think she has other people's hands.
Okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I was like, is it like Luke, where, Luke is a rare instance of seeing a robotic hand where it actually has skin. And I'm like, is that, and even the wiki, it's unclear. But I kind of liked the idea that it was actually someone surgically like different hands.
That's how I kind of understood it. That like,
Yeah.
that like they were the hands of a killer or whatever. And it's
Mhm.
like, that's wild. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then she used that to choke the Jedi that Depa is kind of going, like, kind of not seeking
trying to
vengeance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why she went on this path in the first place.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Will,
Continue.
any thoughts?
I think this is what I meant at the beginning of like, I think most of my thoughts with this are like the book overall. I try and look at this like, Seth, you make a really good point. I think if this was released, like if each chapter was like a novella, that it was like Charles Soule was doing this thing of like, this website, they're releasing a new chapter every week and it'll be two Jedi paired up together and it'll be this long story. And every week on Wednesday, I got like an email and I was like, oh, I'll read it and see what's happening. I think I would enjoy it more, but as a large like text of back to back chapters, it is kind of like wading through sand a little bit, where you're like, all right, because Star Wars is very flashy, and everything you watch, something is going to happen, whether it's a battle or lore drop or new character or something like that. And I know people in the chat will be like, well, Star Wars doesn't always need that. You're going to get something from one of those categories. And no matter what you are watching, and even also while you're reading it, I think with this book overall, like you just went through all of those chapters, every single chapter, the
Was it
tagline is like, but it'll connect later on.
Yes.
And we're at chapter 30? We're close.
You're
to
halfway
40?
through the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're halfway through the book, and you're waiting for those like,
because typically,
the end, you know what I mean?
typically, like, okay, so a little spoiler alert. There's a book series that we have like 4 books that are like heavy contenders for what we're doing next. I think we're leaning to a specific trilogy. I was reading the first book in that trilogy, and those first couple
Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, A New Hope. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
A book trilogy, right? And I was reading before I hopped into like, Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire, which is a lot of information as well. I was reading it, and within the first 3 chapters, yes, there's different characters happening, but like by the 3rd chapter, you're like, okay, who are these characters? Oh, gotcha. Okay, these characters are coming in. Like, spoiler alert, it's Heir to the Empire. Okay, and within like chapter 3, sorry, Will, sorry. Hey, it's not locked. I think it might be locked in. We don't know yet. TBD. And I was reading, and I was like, okay, who's this Talon Card guy? They mentioned him in the thing, and then it's like, here's Mara Jade. Oh, gotcha. Okay, Pelion and Thrawn are coming, and it's on the same same planet as their base. Cool, got it. Like, and for the most part, I'm like, it's every story, most popular stories doesn't really ever centralize on one character. Like, even main Star Wars movies is like, well, you've got the Gungans fighting on the ground, and you got Obi-Wan and but that's that's in the end final battle, right? For the most part, even if it's like Empire Strikes Back, the 2 main perspectives are Han and Leia and that gang, and then Luke, right? And it's pretty easy to keep up. Whereas this, it's like, okay, now multiply that by 6, right? Where it's like and it's the thing is like, you could read like, okay, I'm going to read all of the Yariel Poof chapters, but you're going to be severely confused because it's like, it's all happening chronologically. So it's like, okay, I got to go to this character, and then I got to go back to this character, and then I got to go, so it's, to me, like, I think it clicked more for me when like the first 10 chapters, I was like, man, it's a lot. I mean, now we're at Kiadi Mundi. Okay, now we're at Adi Gallia. But then finally, when I was like, okay, these chapters are pretty short. I'm just going to read this without like thinking about like, well, like thinking about it too much. And once I got into a flow where I was like, okay, like kind of reading it in a one-off manner, and then being like, oh, like treating it kind of like a Clone Wars episode of the week, even though I wasn't reading it like one a week. Because that back half I like flew through. Like
I do read like a Clone Wars episode.
It does.
Absolutely.
I mean, I really do think like the whether you like it or not, which I did enjoy it. I mean, it is not my favorite Star Wars book of all time, but like this book feels kind of like the Clone Warsification of the Jedi Council, just like right before the Phantom Menace in a book, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, the moving pieces do connect, but it like after reading it, after finishing it, I was like, okay, I enjoyed that, but in the next book I have, I need it to be a lot more centralized in the players that it's following, you know? I need it to be down to like 2 or 3 groups, right? So
I still don't know if I can name every member of the Jedi Council. Like if you gave them all, like if you, okay, that's great for you. But like I just have read this book and I'm like, all right, I might be able to match all the names with the pictures.
All right, do it for me right now.
Try.
All right, I'm gonna
just say a Jedi and I'll try and describe him then.
Okay, Sacy 10.
He's the one that looks like Agent Kolar.
Nope.
Really? Oh no, he's got the big horns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, gotcha.
Gindie guy with the cool helmet.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes his horn's cracked and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just depending.
And by the way, there's a later chapter where it kind of self-inserts into a connection of the Gindie scene where he is like a crack shot pilot,
crazy
you know?
Pilot. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that's a neat little connection. All right.
Yep.
Yariel Poof. Freebie.
Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah, he looks like he's an alien with a long neck.
So he's got an ET finger for a head, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Q-tip.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a Q-tip.
All right. Eve Koth.
He's the one that looks like Agent Kolar.
Yes, the Zabrak.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adi Gallia. You know her.
Hold on. She's
there's also another character that looks like her in Revenge of the Sith.
Exactly. She's the one that she is like does she have the white hair or like the snakes?
White little, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because you're probably getting confused with Stas Ali, who is also in Revenge of...
Yes, gotcha.
They do that with both Eve Koth and with Adi Gallia, where it's like, here's a very similar looking person, but it's not the same person.
It's so ridiculous. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Star Wars is George Lucas. I love him.
Yeah.
Okay. Plo Koon. You know him.
Oh yeah, Mask.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
all right.
you're people to me.
I'm not even gonna. Yeah, you're people.
That was it.
Yeah. Not to me.
I'm not gonna give you Mace Windu or Yoda. Those are easy.
Yeah, duh. I know that.
Yaddle, you got her.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Appa Rancisis.
He's the snake guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hairball snake.
Yeah, he's got a big beard.
Yeah.
He's a big snake. Yeah.
And then the biggest character in the Acolyte, Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What about the droid attack on the Wookiees? No, you didn't name the little guy who's like the little
you got me. No, White Yoda.
Yes, I was going to say just pink Yoda.
With a Russian accent. I actually love him. What's his name?
I don't know.
Bro,
he was there.
I think it's Evan Peel.
Evan Peel. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. There we go.
Yeah.
Peel.
Yeah.
It's the start of him peeling oranges. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Again,
that's it. You got it, man.
I guess I do know it, but still, it's crazy because.
But then it changes within the next.
Book.
Yes, there are a lot of names.
Crazy.
Especially when they're like meeting like the NPCs of the world.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's like there's a lot of them, dude. And even those interconnect. Like the people in the first half, that was like the girl that was flirting with Ki-Adi-Mundi because she thought like her husband was cheating on her, who created the tents. Those come into play later.
Yeah. This is some book. That's all I got to say.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep riffing and raffing. Make it real quick. Okay. So we left off with Eve Koth, the girl at the bar. She went away.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Chapter 35.
Bye-bye.
Back to Mace Windu and Captain Balo, not Balin Skull, different guy. They fix the ship that they're on, and then they're attacked by a stave skull vessel before a Vile ship comes to attack the skulls, and then the Creds come to attack the skulls before they all disappear. What's happening? But then Qui-Gon calls shortly after and lets them know that they intercepted a transmission from Kyla Lomata, the little girl, near the Riftwalker base on Valbaron. All right. Dope. By the way, Valbaron is a cool Star Wars planet name. I like that.
Yeah.
Does
it sound too much like Alderaan?
But see, okay, but you think about like Dantooine, or like, I love when planets like have like slight variations of like they're not quite sounding the same, because there's Tatooine, there's Dantooine, there's
Yeah.
Is that how there's like a Springfield in every state? Like they're just one
or like
guy
a Greenville or something.
Yeah, one guy who's populating all these. This system will be called Dantooine, and this system will be called Tatooine. It kind of sounds like you're going Alderaan, Volberon, like Alderaan, Volberon.
Let's see. It's just the double AAN and the R.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. But yeah, Qui-Gon is like, hey, they got a transmission from her near the planet, and they're like, all right, we'll meet up. They're trying to figure out if Depa might be there or not, or at the very least, they're going to try to rescue this girl. Chapter 36, back to Ki-Adi-Mundi and Yaro Poof, one of my favorite chapters. They off page got one of the Oroko nodule deposits. That was confusing to me when it happened off page. I was like, okay. They request Plo and Sacy. Yes, that Plo and Sacy 10 went to go get the nodule deposit off page, and they were like, Ki-Adi, Jarl, help us. And they were like, okay, that all happened off, like that is not a part that it happened after or before the fact. They're staking out the State of Skulls headquarters on one of the keys, Voraki, at their local pub. Ki-Adi-Mundi, he puts the little spike things like around his head to like they're like glued on or something. Which is
so he
just
can be a gang member.
The fact that like, dude, when they're glued on, I'm like, bro, that is some Party City stuff right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
they can't hurt that skull.
I know. And that beautiful pointed cranium of his.
Yep. It's so funny to think that he was like super gluing horns onto his head, but then you think of like Obi-Wan in Clone Wars where he gets like full plastic surgery to become a different bounty hunter. Yeah. Like, I guess maybe the technology wasn't there, and they needed wood glue to stick stuff to his giant dome.
Seth, I remember listening to I swear you've said this. I feel like I've heard your voice say this. Didn't you refer to when that happens to Obi-Wan? You were like, that you and Connor called it like the polyjuice potion from Harry Potter. Yes,
that is true. That's what it is.
That's exact. I remember you on an episode like mentioning that. I feel on your show. That's so funny, dude.
Sounds like something I would say.
It is.
But I feel like that we talked about that I just thought that whole thing was really silly. That I'm like, cool, let's just lie to everyone. He's going deep undercover. Okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Clone Wars.
Anakin might just become Darth Vader, months earlier because of your actions, but whatever.
That's one of those moments where when we read Dark Disciple, we were talking about how the Jedi were just like willy-nilly, like, Quinlan Vos, yay, you didn't do that. Come on back. Oh, you did. You did commit genocide. Okay. And then like, that's one of those moments where I'm like, man, the Jedi look really stupid, dude. Like they look dumb. And maybe that's the point, but I'm like, dang, they're really stupid.
War, man. War does it to you. Makes you dumb.
War never changes, as they say in Fallout. Yeah, so Ki-Adi-Mundi goes undercover with the extortionist skulls. They're paying up to the boss. But then other cabs from the different gangs arrive. And they continue to stake out. And there's this funny little altercation where Yaro Poof is standing outside the door and the guy's like, leave. And he's like, meh. It's a whole thing. Yeah, he mind tricks him. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he's just like, Yaro Poof is like spamming Jedi mind tricks, bro. Like he literally, it's like a Lego game.
Is he trying to work on that? Like he's trying to get better at that sort of thing and get better.
Yeah, because he that's exactly because he's like Ki-Adi-Mundi gets onto him of being like, you can't just resolve for that, and he's just like, but I'm bored. Like they're talking about like how he's bored, and he's like, it's just more fun to do that, and I'm like, bro, all right, what a Jedi
forever, right?
Yeah, he's like 400. He's not as old as Yoda, but he's like him and Appo are like the oldest. Because he's still anyway. Chapter 37, Yoda and Adigalia. They inspect an arena on Galaki. This is an interesting chapter. They catch a deal going on in a nearby kind of alleyway street where 4 members of differing gangs are involved, and they stab Lyle Lunn, who was the Sullustan who Yoda ran into, has the sick father.
Yes, earlier.
They paid him, but they stab him anyway, which is interesting. And they apprehend the criminals. And Yoda promises he's going to take the money to Lyle's sick father. He's trying to save up for like a medical droid, I believe, like basically like a nanny kind of caretaker droid. Chapter 38, Zalastra comes back to finish off the job to kill Depa, but the entire compound is shaken by quakes, which it makes the whole thing, because it's like in these interconnecting caverns kind of loosely, it starts shaking all over the place and dislodging, and its turbo laser fire is like hitting the base's coordinates. But Depa manages to break free. The stasis field is broken, and so she escapes through like a ventilation shaft in the pitch black after Zalastra is like, cool little moment. I like the action in there. We cut to chapter 39 where we find out that it is the I don't remember the name of the ship, but it's Mace and Balo and Qui-Gon. They raid the base on Valberon.
It's really on the nose.
It's the Assurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a CR-56 Corvette, so it's like a way older version of the Tantive 4.
Yeah.
Okay. And they make a plan to land on the ground. That's that. Oh no, sorry, it's not that chapter. But then we cut to Zalastra, who's scrambling around, finds her crew. They think they've been attacked by another gang because she announced that she actually did it. But Balo actually calls, threatens them. Zalastra's like, let's get out of here. We're gonna, like, this doesn't matter that we're here. We're gonna go for the biggest jackpot of all. Chapter 40, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they rappel into the cave system, and they find our three hooligans, the Idiot Three.
Which are like arguably the best part of this book.
They listen. Opinion. That is to me like quintessential D&D campaign, Star Wars, like Clone Wars episode of like, here's these goofballs that keep showing up. They're literally the Star Wars' Three Stooges. That's what they are.
But it's good. I feel like
it's
they're
good.
Handled
you
really well. Yeah. No, I like it. I think it's great. Like, I think that they are some of my best, like my favorite characters in this story. And I like
that's awesome
that they keep reoccurring. Like they just keep showing back up, and then like eventually they're the ones that help kind of screw over Zalastra in it. It's just like, this is it's so good. I like them a lot. Yeah. Every time they showed up, I smiled. So that doesn't, now that like I think about it, that feels like, I feel like knowing your taste, that feels like a very like, because I think you are someone who really enjoys the more like, what is it like? I for lack of a better term, like happy-go-lucky side of Star Wars, like Return of the Jedi, you love the happy ending, right? And like these characters, they don't do anything intrinsically dark. Yes, they're semi-antagonistic, but they're kind of like Hondo in like a more dumb way. But I was gonna say they're stupid, but they're just stupid enough, if that makes sense. That it's like it doesn't go off into like it's annoying,
right?
If that makes sense, because they're just so sprinkled throughout the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, oh, what are these guys doing again? Oh, okay, this is kind of funny. That like, so yeah, that like
they're like the Riff Walker's class clowns. Yeah. I'm glad. Will, what do you think of the Idiot Three?
So I know we talked about it last time. For the audiobook, it's a completely different listening experience. Listening to these bumbling idiots. But
yeah, you two listen to the audiobook. I only read.
Yeah, because the one guy talks like Barney from The Simpsons. He talks like this.
Oh no, Zalastra! What are we gonna do? Yeah, that. Like,
which one is it? Is it the big guy or like the bulldog dude that talks like that?
It's the bulldog dude.
Okay. Was that his name? Wongo.
I have their names wrten down.
It's Wongo, Gore, and the Lobber.
Could be any of their names. Like,
yes.
True. No, I thought it was Blurg, or do it Kala, or is that not them?
No, it's
one of them was Blurga.
There's Burlug. That's the right hand guy to Zalastra, the blue dude.
I'm sorry. My bad.
No. So Gore is the big one. He is a Hook, I believe. That's what they said. I like to look him up because then there's the Clatoonian, the bulldog guy. That's Wongo, and then there's the Deveronian guy who I always envisioned talking like this. Was the Lobber. How does he talk in the audiobook? Did I get it right?
Honestly, kind of like that.
I just imagine him being like, what do you mean? You know?
I'm trying to remember the best line. They say something really, really funny here. Gosh,
do you want to pull? I have the book. I can pull it up. Chapter 40.
I don't remember. It's when everything's all falling apart. They say something like super ridiculous about. It's like it reminds me like Shaun of the Dead, where like they were. he says something about like, well, he thinks that dogs can't look up. Like it's something like really, really ridiculous that he believes.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the line is, but I'm like, I was laughing.
No
I'm like, dude, that's hilarious. I can't remember what the line is though, but it is something about that. We're like, man, it's okay. You're never gonna find it. I have no idea.
I'm on the chapter. Okay. Oh, it must be the next chapter because at the end of their altercation, that's when they drop the thermal detonator.
It is something with the thermal detonators, I thought, where it's just like, it's okay. I don't know.
I want to find it. Funny. Let's see.
Grayson, while you look, what I was going to say was, I think this is kind of my opinion with the book overall, is characters like that are why I am interested, but not necessarily like as excited as I was for something like Ahsoka or like Mando season 2 or season 3 for Skeleton Crew.
Gotcha.
I think stuff like this where it's like little one-off, like, oh no, we're going here and this guy's a big bounty hunting pirate, like stuff like that is, I kind of feel is going to be the overall vibe of what Skeleton Crew is. Just because I know it is going to be like, everybody's calling it Goonies Star Wars, but like, which Goonies is great and that's what Goonies is, but I just feel like it's going to be week to week of like, oh no, we have to go to this restaurant. We're all kids, and the bartender is like, you got to go into the forest and find the blah blah blah. I feel like it's going to be very like D&D, like GM campaigny for the full season, at least from my perspective.
It doesn't happen for a while. I'm like going through all these chapters, and it is a thing of like,
it's okay. They have some crazy interaction that I think is really funny, but that's okay. I'll have to go back and find it for later.
I would love to hear it because I remember them being like they say something stupid and it's like, that's not like, that's not like really true, right?
Yes, and that was I can't remember what it is because they do say something that I thought was actually genuinely funny.
Is it after they throw the thermal detonator?
I thought it was like towards the end when they realized they're going to get the ship and stuff like that. I thought that's where we were getting close to.
Oh, okay. There's still surprisingly a good chunk. Like, I mean, obviously I'm flipping through the pages, but like there's a good chunk.
It's all right. Let's not waste the folks at home's time.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. I just thought it would be funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Lobber, the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they run into them again. They're like, oh my gosh, it's you guys again. But they know of Depa's location, but the Lobber is pulls out a thermal detonator. It cuts away for a second. Mace, he finds a separate entrance with his starfighter, the ones in Attack of the Clones, and then traverses a corridor while he's still speaking to Kyla to try to figure out where she's at. Then we got a Zalastra, who finds Kyla in a hidden part of the ship that they're trying to take off, taking the comm link, but then she pretends to be Kyla, but then Mace Windu arrives, saber in hand, which I will say, the visual that I had in this shot was very cool. It reminded me of Luke when he comes out of the hallway and he has the green lightsaber, the hood and stuff, because it's a dark corridor. I just envision they just see a purple lightsaber ignite in the shadows. And I'm like, dude, that goes hard. That does go kind of hard. So we cut to chapter 41. This is a long-winded chapter.
Is it? I'm thinking back. Is it? Do they claim they're Jedi at one point? Is that part of it? Do the three idiots claim
Isn't
they're
that
Jedi?
later on when they're on the ship on Quinn?
Maybe
right?
That's what's
because they help them take over the ship.
Yes, they do. Because they turncoat. And maybe it's something with that where they claim that they're Jedi and they say something about it's in that exchange or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
41, if you find it, chapter. I want to know.
I don't have any idea. I don't have a book in front of me. It was an audio book that was 2 months ago. I'm sorry.
I have the physical book and the Kindle book. I would hand you one through the screen if I could. It's okay. But yeah, Mace Windu, he tries to negotiate before Depa shows up. He's really in really bad shape, but Zalastra, of course, holds Kyla hostage once again. And then Depa negotiates that if they can be permitted past Balo and their kind of blockade if they let Kyla go on the next planetfall. So not here, but like let her be free whenever you get to where you're gonna go. And Mace is like, "What you trying to do, dog?" And then we cut back to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. They try to defuse the situation, but Wongo turns on the Lobber for being a dumb leader, and so he slaps the thermal detonator out of his hand, and it goes down the corridor toward the arsenal of the base, like the munitions supply. We cut back to Zalastra, who tries to take off as an explosion in the arsenal tunnel happens. Mace attempts to get on the ship, but he stops in a defensive position to stop falling debris. I believe on top of like him and Depa, like with the Force. And then the Idiot 3 show up. They get on the ship instead. They like run out of the tunnel. And they're like, woo! Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they come out of the tunnel too. And then they all get on Mace Windu's starfighter. Because I believe I think Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon take Mace Windu's starfighter like out of the tunnel. And then they're like, Depa, you get in, we'll hang on to the side. So like I think like they all hang on like underneath of the starfighter and they like fly out of the tunnel at like the hangar as the whole base collapses around them. Pretty cool. I enjoyed that part a lot. I was
agree.
like, that's dope.
Cool.
And then chapter 42. Yeah, it's like, and I like the idea of them just kind of like if anybody's ever played Batman Arkham City, when Batman is like hanging from the helicopter in like the Tiger Guard helicopters, and he's just like, they're like, where did he go? That's what it reminded me of, the Jedi. Like you can see their cloaks hanging and they're just like hanging on the side. Anyway, Batman, I know Will's like, neurons firing.
Hold down X to ground pound.
Let's see.
So cool, dude.
It's great. I love those games. And we cut back to Yoda, who spends the day. This is actually a really sweet chapter. He spends the day with Lyle's father, who has been like from Quinn his entire life. He's like a very earnest being. And Erwin does pass away peacefully, looking at the unquenchable fire of the mount. Like he has like a perfect view out of his window and passes away peacefully. I think I did like shed some tears. I was like, bro, that's sad. And then Adigalia and Yoda, Adigalia shows up and they speak about that Lyle is stable. And it's weird that all the four gangs are working together. Chapter 43, Depa is on the Assurance. She's recovering. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they go ahead and head to Quinn because they were called earlier. So they go and head there. The Assurance picks up any other transmissions. And they find it says the Assurance picks up for any other transmissions, finding the one when Depa was going to be executed with the idiot card in hand. Oh, gotcha. So they're like, they managed to like intercept a transmission. They see the recording and she has the idiot card in her hand, which apparently Depa kind of realizes like it's a whole thing. So Mace reveals that Zarin Rawl, the Jedi that gets killed by Zalastra, had one of those cards in his mouth when he died, and he hid it from Depa Billaba, but nobody else, which was not a cool move, Mace. But
the Jedi are super cool.
Yeah, bro. Mace Windu, dude. Yeah. Mace Windu.
Sucks.
And basically, he hid it from her because he didn't want her to take it out of like a vengeance quest.
Yet she did.
Yeah, she did it anyway. She said she had like personal attachment because she tutored Zarin Rawl. She wasn't his master, but she was like a tutor of his. So I don't know.
Friend.
Yeah, like an older sister kind of thing. And so they get set on. They're like, all right, we're gonna find Kyla. And then when she's looking back at the playback of the thing, she realizes that Zalastra's deck was a trick deck, and that her goal is to unify the gangs and take out the Jedi Council as the ultimate prize. Depa doing some Thrawn stuff right now. She was like, I've got it, you know? Like,
yeah.
We finally hop to part 3. Like act 3, whatever, because it's like 4 acts. Chapter 44. Dude, this book, there's a lot of chapters in this book, dude. Zalastra has a meeting with all of the gangs and rivals, making a plan to take out the Jedi during the celebration on Quinn. They're going to make it their own pirate state. The Jedi Council convenes from various locations. They discussing kind of all what they know. Depa Billaba makes a plan for Mace, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan to stay in space while the rest attend the celebration. And she believes that she knows Zalastra's plans. She's like, let me cook. Chapter 45. Zalastra and her crew arrive on Quinn. They meet with the other gangs in their hub aboard the casino barge, the Pelagic. Or Pelagic, whatever. Pelagic. She confirms that with one of her grunts, I think the Ithorian guy, that there is a bomb within one of the cases that they used to kill the leaders inside the arena. So all the gang leaders, they go to Galaki or something. I don't know why I put that, but several of the council members, they prepare at the arena. Even Morna, the girl that Yaddle has been kind of consoling, helps them prepare, as well as Evan's ensemble of the students.
All of his kids.
Yeah, all of his minions. And then Ethan and Evan are pulled away by a call from someone Eth knows. Which there's like some funny altercation where Yarl and Kiadi Mundi or Yarl is like, Eth Koth has a girlfriend. I'm like, bro, you're like, what a clown.
Well, that one girl, she seems interested in him.
No, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what he talked, because he's like, I think they find out, maybe I'm jumping the gun, but they're like, oh, he got called by some girl, and Yarl is like, a girl? Eth Koth talking to and I'm like, you're a Jedi! Like,
what are we doing with our lives?
Yeah. Yarl's like, I don't care. Chapter 46. Zalastra and the gangs, they watch the ceremony, and they're waiting for the...
pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I think this is cool. I think this is, I'm like, this is where we start to, I like the meme where I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the Drake meme. I don't know which one.
I was thinking that or the Brittany Broski one. I
don't know.
Gotcha.
I don't know why it blows my mind to like that you know the name Brittany Broski. Like, I think that's so funny to me.
Okay.
I didn't know she was that big until recently. I was like, I thought this was just like a niche like TikTok thing. Apparently, anyway.
My wife likes her.
Oh, okay, okay. She's funny. She's very funny. The thing that she did with Daisy Edgar Johnson of like the little coronation thing.
Yeah.
She does. Those things are so funny, bro.
I was gonna say, I watched the one with the kid from Zack and Cody. I don't know what his real name is.
Oh, Cole Sprouse.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So I watched part of that one. So anyway, enough of that.
Jughead in Riverdale.
Yeah, there you go.
In case you haven't noticed, I don't fit in. I'm not cool.
Did you see this hat?
No.
Did you watch a lot of Riverdale?
No, I just have seen that scene so many times.
You know a lot of quotes.
I was about to say.
It's like this cringe compilation, and like one of them is like the guy who plays Archie, I think. And he's just like, then you've never experienced the epic highs and lows of high school football.
Interesting.
Will is like, it is epic. It is high and low. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Will.
It's just like Riverdale. High school is just like Riverdale. There's zombies. There's vampires. There's cults.
Yeah, dude. Will was there. He is Riverdale.
Yeah. I used
Riverdale
to wear
assemble.
A beanie that was also a crown.
Dude. I just imagine like grabbing a beanie and being like, just cutting. Anyway, we're so far off topic. It's funny. Yeah, so they wait impatiently for the Jedi to say the Jedi stand with you, which was kind of their calling thing when Yaddle
that was going to make all the things explode.
Mm-hmm. It was going to make the bot, like, because there was kind of like a saying, a voice activation for the thing. However, Yoda says it in his backwards way. They make Yoda say it, so he's like, like,
with you, the Jedi
the
are.
Jedi do. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and Zalastra's like, they all freak out. Gabby About Books says it's the random tangents that make these streams. Hey, that's why I'm here.
That's why we're here. Here to please.
All right. Yeah, Yoda says
So
it
now
backwards
everything's
way.
starting to fall apart. I remember this. This is all like
Yeah.
this is getting real clean to me. This is clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
where everything's finally starting to like
Everything's
connect.
coming together.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
gangs are like, do we attack? Because basically the bomb was going to go off, and then the gangs were also going to attack in the case that it didn't kill the Jedi.
Yep.
So Zalastra's like, fine, chapter 47, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to just activate it with a comm link. I'm just going to put a comm link next to it because the scan for the arena has already happened. Like, I'll just sneak down in there. And Depa is already there with Mace Windu's lightsaber. Pretty cool. Because she doesn't have hers back yet. And so the bomb is not even in the case. Zalastra, like, it's like revealed. It's like, yeah, we took that out. Stupid. And so Zalastra's like, just like leaves. Chapter 48. So then the Jedi are like, go, go, go. Like they have this whole plan as like a storm rolls in. The arena is locked up. While a lot of the Jedi split up into kind of several duos. Morna stays to keep the broadcast going, to kind of keep people at peace. Evan Peel and Eth Koth, they step outside to deal with the tasty comic carts that were part of the gang's plan. They had weapons in them, but the Jedi also, they thwarted that too. Yep. As Eth Koth got a tip from Anissa. I don't remember exactly how it happened. Like they were going to use the carts to like keep their weapons, and then the gang members were like, wait, like, that's right, because there was a thing happening where that company was like smuggling, or like they owned that company, or they like, and I think they talk about it, I think literally in the next chapter, that Mace Windu like dealt with it. Like Mace, maybe, or Jarl, one of the two, they like dealt with it the day before, and the gang didn't even know. It was like,
so there's no weapons in the stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the food cards. Yeah.
And there's also these tents that are surrounded, like it's this whole thing on the main island, but they put the tents out because of the storm. But in fact, there's no people in the tents either. The gangs are like, wait, what? Completely blindsided by the Jedi. And all the people are actually on different islands, like watching a transmission. And so Eth Koth and Evan Peel, they start fighting the vendors. We go to 49, where Mace and Balo and the Assurance, they bait the fleet of pirate ships that are attacking like the main station, using Eth's warnings to try to contaminate the food supply. So there was like a food supply that was going to come down, and it was going to affect this whole thing. And so they took care of that. None of the people on the station actually ate it. And so Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they deploy in these pods from the station to be undetected and land on the randomizer as it's going into orbit. So pretty cool. Yeah. Whereas Zalastra, she gets away from the arena. They get to like a skiff, which I don't know if this is the same thing with you guys. Anytime I think of a Star Wars skiff, I just think of the Jabba the Hutt. Like like that's all I think of, are the ones that are surrounding the barge. I'm like, what do other skiffs look like? Do they all look like that? I don't know.
Well, aren't the things that they fly around in Phantom Menace, like that take them like to places on Coruscant, aren't those kind of like skiffs?
I think those are air speeders. No? They're kind of like
well, what's the difference between an air speeder and like, or I mean, is that really that much different than like Luke's speeder then?
So a skiff is more like an open flat land speeder. So like Luke's land speeder. So, and land speeders can go, because they acknowledge later on that the skiff, like it doesn't just fly straight up in the air. It can it has to have kind of a basis of
it needs to be kind of by the ground. Yeah.
Right. And so like when they're trying to go up the mountain, it's like it's such a steep incline that it's
which also kind of doesn't make any sense to me, because like when you think of where the skiff is in Return of the Jedi, it's like the Sarlacc pit is a dip. Like the wall of the Sarlacc pit is like this.
They're kind of around the edge of it. They're not over.
I guess
that's why he's got to go out on the plank.
There's so much space between the two that
you can like, it's not a thing where it has to be like this close to the ground. It can be like a good, I don't know, it can be like a good 40 feet in the air. It also depends on how much weight is on it, and like if
I
the
just think of
engines
like
are strong enough.
how far Boba Fett had to fly from the skiff to the sail barge when he slams into the wall. Like he's in the air. Like when Luke does the kick where he doesn't kick anybody.
Yeah,
you see Boba Fett go across. Like, he's in the air for a long time. So like
it's a big pit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But like, I don't know.
That is
how high it is off the ground as opposed to like.
I think it's just a movie in continuity sort of thing.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of that, the first 5 letters of that, there's like a part where Zalastra calls the Assurance the Incontinence. And like I just read that as I was flipping through to find the thing that Seth was talking about, and I was like, that's funny.
Funny. Thanks, Charles Soule.
It's not Charles Soule who wrote this.
Oh, not Charles Soule.
John Jackson Miller.
The other one.
John Jackson Miller.
That guy. Yeah. Him.
But yeah, they get to the skiff. Burlug, IK 111 or 111, 111, whatever, and Kyla, they're all there. And then air speeders begin attacking the keys is it from the randomizer? I don't remember.
They drop out of a ship, don't they?
They drop out of a ship.
Like fighting over the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Stacey 10 is like, and he just like puts on his glasses, like, and starts flying around.
He's just killing everybody. It's kind of wild that he's just.
He doesn't kill them.
He takes them out.
He takes them out, but he makes sure to shoot them over the water, and then he's getting, I believe, the people that are working on the water boats. Like I think they're like picking them up.
Yes, the people that from the taxi service or whatever that they had set up. Yeah. Again,
so
it all comes together. It's cute. I'll give you that. I don't know if I can say it's good, but like, it's cute. Here's what I'll say before we get do the last 13 chapters. What I will say about this book is, if you're looking for something that like deepens the Star Wars lore or is like really centralized on like the mythos of the Force or whatever, that is not what this book is. You know, it's kind of a misleading book. It's not, because the Living Force is dealing with like the everyday people. Mm-hmm. And that like it's you really have to read between the lines.
I mean, when John Jackson Miller pitched this book, when he said it, he was like, the Jedi go on spring break, basically. Like, that was what which not literally, it's not like it's this big fun vacation for them, but it literally, like, in my opinion, this is like the perfect summer Star Wars book, where it's like, it's on these tropical islands and it's fun adventures and silly goofs and gags that you don't really have to sit there and be like Plagueis, I think, is way heavier of a read in terms of like the lore, and you're like, oh man, like, I mean, that one little passage that me and Connor, I mean, you guys probably love it too, where he's like talking about like the eclipse that would happen on that one planet and how it was like, but then right after the eclipse, there's like this like shining spot of light that is stronger than ever. I was like, oh man, this is so deep and metaphorical. This book does not have that. This is genuinely like it's a fun adventure book. Mm-hmm. And so that's why when I always tell people, like, with Star Wars content, you know, we have a lot of Star Wars content, that we have gotten to a point now, and this has always been the case with the books, and now reading this and also seeing what we have in visual mediums is like, if you're not like someone who enjoys like every little thing in Star Wars, you don't have to watch every little thing. Like, this is a book that I'm like, I'm just going to go and say is not essential Star Wars reading. Like, I would not be like, you have to read this book, right? It's just one that I'm like, yeah, do you want like a fun, like kind of a lighthearted adventure that is just fun to read, and you could probably read, like, I mean, if you're a fast reader, you could read in like a little bit of time. Yeah, it's that's what this is, but it's really like Skeleton Crew upcoming is a good, like, it's tailored for like, this is going to probably be a fun adventure. It's probably not going to deepen the mythos of the Force or the New Republic in terms of like what's happening like socio-politically or what's happening with Luke Skywalker or, you know, whatever. It's like, it's Star Wars Goonies. It's a fun family adventure. Like, that's what this is. It's just, I wouldn't say this is like a fun family adventure. It's just like, do you like the Jedi? Do you like these characters? You want to see them have fun? Here's Living Force, right?
It's like proto Clone Wars.
It is.
Like,
it really
like
is.
A Clone Wars. And it
what is like a goofy episode?
Phantom Menace.
Yes, especially at the end.
as much as I love what happens in like that story from A to B in Gendy's Clone Wars, it's like the stuff with Anakin saving like the men in that weird alien race where they're all like mutated.
Yes.
Where it's like
Melvin.
kind of like a weird
Melvin,
off
yeah.
thing. And I know he has the vision of like Darth Vader and all of that stuff. And it's great. I love watching that. But like it's such like a not even a B plot, but like a C like or a D thing.
Because isn't it right
happens where
after
it's
that the Battle of Coruscant happens?
Yeah, it's like
It's all
such a
happening at the same
weird-
time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the thing where he's like eating the worms and he's like,
Mhm.
it's protein. And he eats all the worms and then they just go underneath. But
It honestly, it feels like a more like more central, like with the Living Force feels like more like engaging characters in terms of like what they're doing action wise of like that. You remember that episode of Clone Wars? This might be insulting. I don't mean it that way, but like it's 3PO and R2 and they're like getting lost in like, they're like going from like, they're on Wolf's ship and then they get like lost in an escape pod and they land in like a planet that's basically like Gulliver's Travels and then like the Wizard of Oz where there's like a guy like actually operating like behind the scenes. It's like a one-off episode.
I have no recollection.
You know, they like go to
No.
like 3 different alien planets. There's one where there's like this like big guy who's like ruling these little people,
Is
and
this
then like
season 1 or something?
this is like season 5, bro.
I have no
It's a shame.
recollection of this.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know.
so there's like a big guy, and they go to one planet, and C-3PO is like translating for them, and it's this big guy like ruling over all these little people, and then R2-D2 like is actually way bigger than that guy, and he like is knocked over and like falls on him and squishes him, and then they go to another planet where there's like it's basically the Wizard of Oz. Like there's like a guy like a droid or something operating what they think is like some omnipotent presence. They like worship it, and then it's actually just a dude. Like do you remember? You don't remember that?
No.
That episode lives in my.
Is it the episode where R2 is trying to get stuff for Padme's
No,
party?
that's
okay.
a season 2 episode. That's got Cad Bane in it.
And
Oh,
I
okay.
know Noah, the episode that you're talking about from George Lucas is
Pull
the
up
one
Disney
where
Plus.
it's THX 1138 in the desert with what's the guy?
That's Meber Gascon. That's
Yeah,
like
with all the
like a sunny
droids.
day in the void. I remember that
Yeah.
one rent free. Gregor shows up.
Yeah, all those
Mhm.
droids, and then what's the little guy's name? Did you
Meber
say it?
Gascon.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
General Meber Gascon.
yeah.
The D Squad. That's what he's called. I don't remember, bro. That's what it's called, bro. D Squad.
Yeah.
I'm a real Star Wars
I
fan,
think
bro.
what you're saying, Grayson, is completely true. Where like this book has like holds the same like lore weight as Gesundheit.
Thanks. Sorry.
Force bless you. Holds the same like lore weight as Visions to me, where like, yeah, it's all characters that you see pop up in other media, and Visions you don't really see that, but like
Mhm.
it's cool to like turn on an episode, you watch it, and you're like, oh, that's cool. That's what can happen in Star Wars, and then that's like not. It doesn't really do anything. Like nothing in this book. You're watching Attack of the Clones, and you're like, oh, that's why in Attack of the Clones, that's why Ki-Adi-Mundi had all that ice cream in Attack of the Clones. It's like it doesn't really.
Yeah.
It matters in terms of like fleshing out Star Wars.
It
and
kind of
as a
humanizes them a
character.
little bit.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know
They're not just like ambiguous faces
Yeah.
in the background, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is literally like kind of more an amplified version of like, pardon my French. This is like Glup Shido the movie, you know, where it's like, it's like, yeah, do you like Yariel Poof, the guy who goes
it's
in the
it's
background
like
of the
if you
Phantom
took
Menace?
all of the characters that you would be able to interact with in
Mhm.
a prequels video game, and all of those NPCs, you told a story about all of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I have 2 revelations here. I found the episode. It's in season 4. It's 2 episodes. It's called Mercy Mission and Nomad Droids. It's right before the Umbara arc. Okay. However, there is an episode.
Which one's cooler?
yeah. When I go my recommended watching, like, well, you have to watch the droid episode. No,
you just have to watch these 3 episodes, and then doesn't matter what happens right afterwards.
Yeah. Don't watch the Umbara. No, I'm kidding. Umbara arc is peak. But there is an episode right before Mercy Mission. It's episode 4 of season 4. It shares the same name of probably the most famous episode in the Ahsoka show. And the duality of this is so funny to me. The episode is called Shadow Warrior. All right. It's in Clone Wars. And so Shadow Warrior and Ahsoka is, Anakin and Ahsoka, like their whole flashback thing. It's awesome. The one in Clone Wars is Jar Jar Binks must pose as his people's leader.
Shadow Warrior. Okay.
It is got like the cover of it's got like Magna Guards and like Dooku. Dude, both of them are called Shadow Warrior.
And I bet you the quote at the beginning of that episode is like so important when you talk about like the.
I'm gonna see what the quote is right now, dude.
That's so crazy. I like this question.
When a person truly is cannot be seen. Wait, who a person truly is cannot be seen with the eye.
Yeah, right. That's not one of my favorites. Did you learn anything about the living force from this book?
Your will of the force, you tell me.
So to get ready for this, I watched the interview that John Jackson Miller did on Star Wars Explained. He did like a series of interviews that he cut up. And one of them was like, it was called like spoilers for the living force.
Yeah.
And he brings up the scene in Attack of the Clones where obviously it's humorous now and there's a ton of memes as Star Wars fans, but like the guy is trying to give Obi-Wan death sticks.
Yes.
And Obi-Wan looks at the guy and is like, you will ruin your life, blah, blah, blah. Like, change your ways, stop doing this. And obviously it's like a funny scene at the moment, but like at their core, that's what Jedi are supposed to be doing. Of like, hey, you're a drug dealer. You are a drug addict. Change your ways. Stop doing that. Obviously, in the context of that scene, it's more like, get out of here, junkie. Like, I got stuff to do. This does not further the plot.
Yeah.
so to speak. But I think if the question is, did you learn about the living force from this book? Kind of like the whole point of it is that the Jedi need to realize that it's more about the people of the galaxy that is important to them.
And not the entirety of it, And
not the entirety of it, which is, why there's the fall of the Jedi over the span of the prequels up until Revenge of the Sith with Anakin is like they're so far removed from the people, from the living force. Which is why personally that first chapter is my favorite. Obviously, I'm a Qui-Gon fanboy, just like you, Seth. But but like where he explains it, and he's like, "Hey, you guys, like intervention here. You're so far removed from the people that you say that you're trying to help. What is really your motives here?" And that's why all of this kind of happens.
Yeah. There's a pretty good through line to the very end, which I really like. It's like the last thing. But I'm going to get back to the summaries and I'm going to make it, I'm not going to go chapter by chapter. I'm just going to go skim through and give you like the final beats. Cause to be honest, a lot is happening here. I'll list off some of the highlights, but I'll go ahead and I'll read the last, kind of like page. Where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon or Yoda are talking, and so Yoda says, "Flowed through us, the living force did. Not days only for ourselves were these, for others they were." Obi-Wan says, "And so the days became yours as well." Qui-Gon smiled. "You're getting it." They turned away from the view, and after a few moments, Obi-Wan broke the silence. "Masters, there's just..." He didn't finish his sentence. Qui-Gon and Yoda looked at him and then at each other. Yoda remarked, "Confused your student is." Obi-Wan, "I'm afraid it's a perpetual condition." Qui-Gon opened his palms. "Speak." Obi-Wan forged ahead. "Did Master Balaba act correctly in repeatedly choosing the girl over defeating Zalastra? It's worked out all right, but it seems to go against what I've been taught." Yoda says, a difficult question. One stage of life, or one stage of many life is, cling to it, we must not. Obi-Wan says, our own lives or those of others. No attachments, that's the first thing we learn. Qui-Gon says, of course, those are the Jedi rules and the Council rules, but I allow that the Force may have a more nuanced opinion. Obi-Wan snickered. The Force sounds like a certain master of my acquaintance. And Qui-Gon says, laugh if you want, but the ways of the living Force are mysterious. When you help one person now, you create the potential for them to do many good works in the future. But Qui-Gon put up his hand on his Padawan's wrist. Attachments are not the problem. Indifference is. He turned and called out as he walked toward the ship. Save a friend, Obi-Wan, and the friend may save you.
That's why he's a goat!
Yeah. And it's crazy. I was reading in The Heir to the Empire. There is a part after I finished this book, I went right into Heir to the Empire because I was too excited. I'm so pumped. You don't understand. I'm so excited. But Luke literally says something almost identical to C-3PO in like the second chapter of the book. And I was like, it's like poetry, they rhyme. Like there you go. Dude,
Get your merch now and Beyond the Dune Sea.
Yeah, I should have got it when it was on sale. Anyway,
I'm sure there'll be more sales.
Oh, you don't want to give full? You wouldn't pay full price for the merch, Grayson? Is that what you're saying? It's not worth full price?
No, I would pay my entire life savings.
No, I will saw off my legs to.
All right. Anyway, Stacey 10, he's going ham, right? Chapter 50, they Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, they land on the randomizer and enter the ship. We cut over to Zalastra. She thinks everything is going to plan despite the bomb. And the storm comes in. Stacey 10 takes out the speeders. And then eventually he sets it down because the ship he's flying has a bunch of wings. So he gets on combat. Then we go to... I remember, by the way, there's something about this, Will, that I messaged you about, and I remember you clarified for me, and now I've forgotten what it was, and I'm going to ask you probably after stream.
I remember.
It was like Plo Koon talking about with Stacey 10 was like on the beach, and he like says something later on, and I was like, what? I like misread it. I'm going to bring it up here in a second because I'll get to the chapter here.
I don't know if you texted to me or if it was an audio message.
It was an audio message.
So we have no paper trail, guys.
No, I remember. Okay, so it's a thing that Depa... Anyway, I'll get to it in a second. Seth, I'll fill you in on this because I was so bothered by this. I was like, what? Anyway. All right, chapter 51. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they run into the Idiots 3 again. They unravel that Zalastra sent them to their doom by putting timed explosives on the persons to a building that didn't matter. And the Jedi are like, hey, work with us. We'll help you out. Because Zalastra hates the Idiots 3. I've officially called them that, by the way. I think that's actually what they're called in the book. Zalastra, they circle one of the keys. Yaddle and Yoda hop off. And they cause the top of the skiff, whatever. Plo Koon, he's using the speeders. Okay, so this is the end of this chapter. All right, no, it's not the end of this chapter. It's later on. I'll bring it up later. Plo Koon, he's using the quick hull speeders to pick up stray civilians and help the Jedi in combat. Chapter 52, Ki-Adi-Mundi, he's on the gambling barge undercover with his super glued skull things. Yep. A drunk leader of the Vile stumbles in. He tries to. She like figures out he's not one of them. He throws her in the freezer and disables the communications of the barge. Zalastra, it can't communicate with anybody because of this. Adigalia wants to make sure, like, hey guys, just PSA, don't kill them all. We got to give these guys another opportunity, and everyone's like, yes, ma'am. Chapter 53. The Jarl Uppo used Kuruku to topple over the barge, and they rescue Ki-Adi-Mundi. And Zalastra watches as the ship is flipped over, and she's like, "Screw this! I'm going to the Jedi outpost."
Yep, she's going up.
Yep, she's like, "Club going up on a Tuesday."
Yep.
That was terrible. I'm sorry. Chapter 54. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they board the bridge of the randomizer with the Idiots 3. They speak to the guy piloting it. They place bombs over the ship and need to be disarmed. The Idiot Three take possession of the ship. Depa is looking for Zalastra during the raid, once the Jedi kind of gather outside of the arena. It's the end of this chapter, I believe. Okay, and most of the Jedi are outside the arena. Mace lands his fighter. Depa's like, "Let me take that," and he's like, "Bet." They go to. She sees the skiff going up the mountain to where the Jedi left the bomb, and she takes the ship to the capital key. Okay, so it's at this chapter they talk about how Stacey 10, or they don't talk about it. They're like, oh, the last person that was on the island was Stacey 10. It's at the end of chapter 51. Plo Koon says something. Okay, I'm gonna pull it up. We're gonna bring this up because this was a fun point of conversation, and it showed how I'm dumb, and probably why the audiobook was better for you guys. Yeah.
This thing was hard to read or listen to.
It's a lot.
It is.
Oh, I dozed off. What if I didn't have the book in front of me? That's honestly like, if this was just an audiobook.
Oh, I remember what it was. Will. Okay. Stacey 10 has reported in, the droid reported. He has landed. He has been fighting a large number of miscreants on the North Shore. Plo Koon. Ask him if he needs us to fight alongside him. SK sent the message and reported back several seconds later. I do not understand the master's response. What? He asked if we could send him more people to fight against him. Or he says against, not him. The droid looked back. Did I interpret that wrong? Interpret that wrong. No, you have him exactly right. Tell Plo Koon to be merciful. I was like, what did he mean by this? And I was like, oh, you clarified to me it's because Stacey 10 was like, oh, this is easy. I need more of a challenge. And as I was reading that, I was like, what does that mean?
The audio message you sent me, I don't remember exactly what you said, but I remember you being so frustrated. You were like, why would a Jedi want to fight against more people? Like, you were so angry. And I remember listening to it in the car, like at a stoplight, and then I hit, because usually when you send me an audio message, it'll be 3 hours long, and I'll listen to it like a podcast in the car. Don't roll your eyes because you know it's true, even though I thoroughly enjoy it.
Appreciate it.
I hit play, and I remember listening, and I just remember being like, I'm waiting for you to get to the part where I'm like, okay, Grayson, please don't let this be what you're upset about. Please don't let this be. And then you got to the audio message, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm pretty sure what I sent back was like maybe 2 sentences. I was like, I think it was a joke.
You did. It was like 30 seconds. You were like, yeah, the way I interpreted that was he needed more of a challenge, and he was like, oh, I need more people to fight against me. And I was like, yeah,
the
that
message
makes
you sent
sense.
me back, you were like, oh, I'm dumb.
Because I remember I finished the book and I was jovial. Like, yeah, it's like the tone. Jokes. I think it was because the way the droid says, like, the way I was like, anyway.
Yeah, in my head, the way that was the equivalent of like somebody getting a text of being like, I don't know. He said the bad guys aren't bad enough for him. Like, that's what in my head.
I was the droid in the scenario, and you were Plo Koon. You were like, I get it. And I was like, what does that mean?
It does not compute.
We got 5 more chapters left. I'm going to make this snappy. Zalastra goes up the mountain. She tries to find the old guy, Seneschal Vo. Interrogates him to find the case. Find the case.
Yeah, she's gonna put a bomb up there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because does she already have a bomb case, or did she
put a bomb up there and they're gonna blow up the little girl in there? That's the whole thing, and like that's the idea is that like Depa is gonna go up there to save her.
But is it the case that had the bomb? Like, it's actually like the Jedi took the one that was underneath, and then they put it and she was like, "Well, it has to be at the Jedi Temple, right?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was like, did they make a new one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a little bit. So Depa shows up. She frees Kyla, finds Zalastra, who flees, plants a comm link near the case. They're like, they see the randomizer coming in
because she's gonna say their line for it to blow up.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Kyla shows where the case is at. They're like, we can't do anything about this. They take Vo has this like little cart, and they ride it down the mountain.
Like a sled.
Yeah, literally, and it's like literally like disintegrating underneath him because it's how fast they're going.
And it feels like I can see it in my eyes, and I'm like, dude, this is a Clone Wars episode.
It literally is.
This thing down.
You remember the part in in Clone Wars? I think there's even an episode that's kind of similar where they're like Imbo is chasing. I want to say it's one of the Padme things, and like Imbo is like he's like sliding down his hat on a mountain, and like. There's like another group that is also going down the mountain, and he's like shooting at them. That's kind of what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
But Zalastra and Burlig, they wait for the randomizer. They don't get a response because it's overtaken. Zalastra's like, I'm gonna gun it to the ship. I don't care anymore, even though this thing's falling apart. And then of course they get there, and the idiot three are like, hello, and then the Zalastra like crushes the control in rage. This is the point where I was like, she has to have robot hands. She like literally she holds it so tight that she crushes it in her hand. The joystick. That was the part I remember now where I was like, she might have robotic hands. But maybe she just has strong hands. I don't know. Maybe she's like
that angry.
Yeah, maybe she's like she just literally is doing this like all day, bro.
Yep.
If you change your hands with a species hands that physically have stronger hands, do you keep that strength?
I don't know.
Maybe she just got real jacked forearms down.
Maybe she has like Wookiee hands.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like she just like
yeah. What if she just has like giant forearms? It's clobbering time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the thing spins, crashes out, and Burlig falls off,
which is sad.
It is sad. I liked him.
He
was
died.
cool. Yeah, I know. She says the phrase. The outpost blows up
as they're sliding down. It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like this whole thing's happening.
Yeah,
I
hear it in my head.
I thought you were singing Tim Burton's Batman theme. You're like da 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 da.
I got
Danny Elfman.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's for the Tim Burton movie.
Do you guys want to know a weird fact that I learned about that movie?
Yes.
Sure.
Did you know that Michael Keaton's actual name is Michael Douglas?
He said that recently.
Yeah, and that he couldn't make his acting name Michael Douglas because there is a Michael Douglas already in the Screen Actors Guild, so he had to make it Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wild. I had no idea.
I think he said he's actively trying to change it to Michael Douglas Keaton, so that way he can at least have a little bit of what he wants. That's like the whole Ashton Kutcher thing, not with this like the guild, but like the Ashton Kutcher's name's like actually like I don't remember what it is, like Charlie or something.
John Cougar Mellencamp.
What
is that?
That's a singer, Jack and Diane.
Oh, and then he got
yes,
removed Cougar from his name, and then just became John Mellencamp. Come on, dude.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
hey, grow up.
Yeah, I need to learn. Yeah, they go down the mountain before the wagon or the wagon gives out. The rest of the Jedi, they save Kyla, both with the Force, because Kyla's like, they're like,
your mic did the auto silence for
I
loud
did.
noises,
Yeah,
and it was just you silently going like this. And if you don't think for 1 second I'm not going to go back and make that a GIF, you're crazy.
Dude, this man is making the Grayson GIF collage, bro. Yeah, they find Zalastra, they arrest her, they speak to her, and they discover this is one of the coolest lore bits in the book. I will say, like, if there's one lore bit that is really cool, the entire council asks her who discovered her friends, why she was so hell bent on trying to kill the Jedi. It was Sifo Dyas, and that he had poor and hastened recruiting skills that the Order looked down upon because of his foresight. He was like, we need to get as many Jedi as we can for the impending darkness to come. So he just he was like, yeah, you're cool, and didn't have any consideration for Zalastra. And you're like, I remember when I got up, I was like,
trying to make child soldiers, basically. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's literally like, that's kind of the main reason also why he helped and create the Clone Army. in the council, they finally have the meeting. They announce that they won't rebuild the temple that got destroyed, but they will rebuild the brazier that has the unquenchable fire, and that the Jedi are going to be around more often. I'm going to go ahead and on a whim and say they don't, but because the Clone Wars happened like 10 years later. But anyway,
I'm sure they visited again, at least one of them.
Yeah. Well, I have a question. I'll bring up something because I'm curious what you guys think the state of this planet is after 30 years. But anyway, I need that for lore reasons. So anyway, chapter 58, Zalastra, she's put into confinement, but she is given her cards back. Yoda.
It's very like, you've read Killing Joke, right?
I've not read it, actually. I know of it. I know of like the whole thing, though.
Oh, what about you, Will? Have you read The Killing Joke?
Oh yeah, it's over there.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah. That's what I like to hear. The opening of The Killing Joke is he's just sitting there with the cards as Batman comes and talks. You don't think that Zalastra's gonna at least have something to do, with her?
Oh, true.
Her new hand, her hands.
I just can't remember. Like, did they give her the cards back? They were like, "Yeah, here you go."
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't remember. I just
these aren't a big deal. Take them.
Yeah. Yoda escorts Adi Gallia off the island.
Joker card.
Yeah,
because you're a joker.
She's like,
clown.
The joke's on you, Zalastra.
Exactly.
I will always win. Qui-Gon as Batman.
Hey, Bruce, I'm pretty sure I got a batarang around here somewhere for you.
It does Jarl Poof.
Exactly. That's just Zalastra's like, I will get out. And then like Qui-Gon's gonna turn and be all like, and I'll be there. And then he'll be but he's gonna be
Zalastra goes, we're destined to do this forever.
Exactly.
You've had time to develop a specific set of skills.
Exactly. And then
then
Qui-Gon's going to go on to train Christian
technically
Bale.
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, he's going to train Christian Bale.
Yeah,
dude. Oh, it's setting it all up. Zalastra is Joker's mom.
Yep.
Whoa, that's what happens. It's a musical, like Joker 2. Folie à deux.
Folie à deux.
Can
I say something else?
Yeah.
You know what I think is really wild? Is like in the same summer, Liam Neeson played like the devil and Jesus. Because he was Aslan and then he was also Ra's al Ghul in the same summer. I just think that's wild.
Does Ra's al Ghul mean because he's the what is it called? The demon's head. Yeah.
Just like he's like evil. He's like, I don't like not the actual devil, but I mean like
I was like, when did he play the devil, bro?
Yeah, he's just mean. Really, really mean. Wants to dehydrate everybody. It's weird. You can turn on that machine and all the water goes away, but we're 80% water. Why didn't he like turn into crazy? Like, just saying, he was on that train.
He played Jesus as Aslan, but he looked more like Jesus as Qui-Gon Jinn.
He did.
Anglo-Saxon Jesus.
And that's our show, folks.
Basically, all the Jedi, they're like, we gotta do this more often. Yoda goes to Lyle Lund at the hospital.
Kind of like this show.
Yeah, maybe that's some of the story.
Yeah, that's the lesson we learned along the way, guys.
Yeah, we gotta do this.
Yeah, Gabby, did we learn anything? I guess just do this more.
Yeah, it has been a minute. Yeah, basically the big
along the way.
The big highlight is Seneschal Vo. He's upset that the building is not being rebuilt because he's been like he doesn't have a role anymore, a purpose. And he says like he should have taken that into consideration. And then he's like thanks him for all the service that he's done for the Jedi. And then there's the stuff with the kids. Evan Peele's like, see ya, kids. And Stacey and Plo, they're like, here's the ship. And blah, 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 blah. And but Plo, there's a cool part where Plo encourages Stacey's ability to tell people what they need to hear and learn from their mistakes. Cool stuff. Eth, he's like, he goes talk to the Faline chick and gives him his contact info. He's like, let's date, at least according to Jarl Poof. And she explains that she gave the tip because she cared about him.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
Chapter 60. Yaddle speaks with Morna. She's going to start a new show with Lyle Lund, medical droid to help people. Jarl Poof finds Kiadi Mundi meditating. Something to the Republic could happen again. It does. Mm-hmm. Sinesh, now this is a banger, bro. This part's a banger.
This is the part I got very excited at the end.
I knew I was like reading it and I was like, This is dope. So, Seneschal Vo.
I'm like, wow, you knew how to you got me at the end. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So Seneschal Vo, he has a secret holographic meeting with Palpatine.
Yeah.
It is revealed that Vo was giving the important items to Palpatine and then selling the rest of them.
Yeah.
Which the latter act was actually breaking their deal. Palpatine gets way more strict after this happens.
He's selling all the stuff that involves the Sith, right? Isn't that what it is? Anything about the dark side?
Maybe.
I thought that's what he was getting rid of.
I don't know if Palpatine actually knows that he was selling the stuff, but it's kind of strongly
I meant
suspected.
that was what Palpatine was taking. So that there was missing stuff out of the archives. So he's taking the stuff about the dark side.
Yes, he's taking the important things.
Yes, exactly.
And so then the Jedi everything else burned. He wants everything, but the guy is the stuff
selling
that he doesn't
off.
want. He sells it instead because he's like, I couldn't destroy this part of history.
Yeah. Oh, that just set up something real good for my campaign, I think.
Is it the end of Solo again in this book with Darth Maul?
No, yes, no.
We were getting
I have
point.
the idea that maybe Seneschal Vo sold a star compass that he thought was a piece of junk that Palpatine did not make explicit, and that ties into my campaign.
What kind of compass, Grayson?
Oh, the one that maybe Luke Skywalker has in... Oh, yes, it's right there.
You have a star compass?
Yeah, I made a post about it the other day. Here, I'll show you. I also have a Sith Wayfinder, too. It's pretty cool. You got that?
That's cool. Ooh. Is that a Disney thing?
Yeah, they stopped selling it, so I had to search through eBay to find it. That's a reference to Transformers. Anyway, yeah, Palpatine's Seneschal Vo, you're an op. Meet Darth Maul.
Can you do the ending of
what?
First Transformers movie?
Oh my god, I have to pull up the monologue. What is it like?
Oh, I didn't know if you knew it off the top of your head.
We are here. We are waiting.
Whoa.
What I've done.
Directed by Michael Bay. Yeah,
I love it.
This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Every time I hear that, I think of the
meme with Obi-Wan, where he goes, "Hello there." What? Yeah. But yes, at the holo call, I don't know if it goes off or not. I can't remember. I have to pull up the page.
Oh, it ends, and Darth Maul's there.
Darth Maul is there, which is dope. Yeah. Then we get to the epilogue.
Yeah, he's all right.
It's pretty cool. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's all right.
Two of your favorites.
Yep.
They talk. Mace meets with Captain Balo. His contract's been renewed. He's going to make a service academy, teaching what he does for the knows with the Republic. Depa is like, "Hey, here's Kylo Lamada. She doesn't have a family. She could be a cadet for you." And Balo is like, "Dope." And so she is a cadet, and she accepts. And then Depa states to Mace that she's thinking of taking a new Padawan soon. Kanan. Anyway, it's not for another 10 years, but that's fine. Will is like, calm down, brother. Calm down.
No, that's right. I didn't even think of that. I don't even. I was like this by that point.
It's weird because she's like, I think I'm going to take a new Padawan soon, but literally does not take him as a Padawan for another 13 years. I mean, at this point, I think he literally is a tiny little baby. So
I was going to say he's not at the temple at this point.
Well, I guess how old? Well, you could choose. I think Jedi are brought from younglings to open to become a Padawan anywhere from age. I would say earliest age 11 or 12, maybe.
For what? To get selected?
Yeah, how early do you okay, now it's a master can choose you as a Padawan.
I mean, Anakin was 9.
True.
But he was an outlier, right?
Right, because but he was directly a Padawan of Obi-Wan. It was I think Obi-Wan was had to but I mean that's a good point though.
How old is Ahsoka?
She's 14.
Okay.
Obi-Wan doesn't get chosen as a Padawan until he's
crazy young with the Plo Koon, when
he finds her. But that obviously she's a youngling and then becomes a Padawan. I think Dooku is when he's chosen by Yoda, I think he's 12. So
But he was already at the temple, right?
Right, yes. Yeah.
I mean, I assume that they're brought there a lot of times as babies, right? When they're very, very young.
They are.
Yeah.
I mean, I think typically the age range of finding a child and inducting them into the temple is anywhere from literally like a 1 years old to probably max like 4 years old. They're like still pretty young.
Yeah, like how old was the weird rabbit baby thing from Bad Batch season 3? Like that's a baby.
That was a Goo Goo Gaga baby.
Yeah. So
True.
I guess
I
as
was thinking
old they are.
What about all
that
the kids that Cad Bane kidnaps?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all like
Babes.
babies too, right?
Well, that stuff. I'm not necessarily talking about like what are they primed to like actually be, because of course we know like you can train someone like Luke is 20 when he gets trained, right? So obviously that is, but I'm talking necessarily of like at what age is it more of like, okay, well, actually I know the answer, because in High Republic Vanestra Rowe is 16 and she's the like one of the youngest Jedi Knights ever. She's like Hermione basically. She's like and of course she falls off hard. Anyway, looking at you, Chimere. But that proves that like, okay, if you're advanced enough, then you can probably be selected to be a Padawan pretty early on. So like if a Jedi, I mean, I would assume it probably is the youngest, if they're like really advanced, would have to be like 7 or something, right? Like they got to be, but even then,
like how old is Ahsoka at the end of the Clone Wars? 17.
Yes, she said.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I know, like, not technically, she was not knighted, but like she
was about to be.
She's there at 17.
That is crazy. Yeah, she was gonna be. She actually probably would have been like the second youngest ever to become Jedi Knight, because she was 6. I think she was actually 16 or 15 when they tell her like, you know, we think this was your great trial, because there's a time jump at the end of Clone Wars. Like Anakin has the longer hair, and she's a little bit got the longer Aleku. She's 17 in Clone Wars season 7. So I think season 5 she's as young as 15 or 16. So,
and if you really want to go that far, I know they're technically Boken Jedi at this point. Like how old is Ezra at the end of Rebels?
17.
Yeah. So like. He's definitely a Jedi Knight by that. Like, I know he was not knighted, but he's like
doing that basically makes you a Jedi Knight, bro.
Yeah.
Like, granted, Kanan didn't become a Jedi Knight until, you know, well, because of the Purge. He didn't become one until 30s, I want to say, because he's 13 in Bad Batch, and then it's another 14 years, and then I think he gets knighted 7. So I think he's 30 on the dot when he gets knighted. And Obi-Wan gets knighted very late too. No, Obi-Wan is like 26 in The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
He was like a late bloomer. Kind of like a
Well, he had to work at it.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's the whole Luke Skywalker river thing. It flows like a river or like a little tiny creek. But yeah, basically that's it. Kylo gets put in there. Depp is going to try to get a new Padawan. And then, of course, we have the speech that I read earlier. And that's the Living Force all wrapped up. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
We read it. We did it.
6 out of 10.
I think for me, 7. 6.5, 7. I don't, this is not Plagueis is a book that I could absolutely see myself picking up again. This is one that I'm like, if I don't want really, because I've already read it and I don't really want a heavy reading, I would read this one. But personally, like, as I've discussed, I am very intrigued in reading more EU stuff, specifically Heir to the Empire. I know, Seth, you and I, Shadow of the Sith is really high on our list of books we want to read. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm ready to get into. This light is killing me right now, bro. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Great heavens.
Right?
Dude, I was like, I'm blinded by the light.
Clearly.
Yeah, so we haven't fully nailed down, like, confirmed what our next series is, but please, if you're still in the chat, thank you for being here. Thank you for, as always, dealing with our ramblings. We're going to try, especially now that we've kind of all taken some respective breaks from Star Wars specifically, we're hoping to get back to interacting with one another more often and just having fun reading some cool Star Wars stuff.
Tyler's got a question.
What is your favorite part of the book? I'm assuming you read. You go first, Seth.
Derogatory. You reader.
We are readers.
I did like. So I really thought that the book ended really strongly, or it began strong with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. That I'm like, okay, if I get more of this, all right, maybe.
That's why I want to read Master and Apprentice real bad, because
that's what stinks. Is like you don't get much more of that. Like they're off doing their own thing most of the most of the book, and so you get everybody else. I really did like Darth Maul showing up at the end. That I was like, all right, this is a nice like bow on everything, and kind of sets up that like, oh, the shadow of the Sith truly is coming. And so again, yeah, like I also really like, this is gonna sound crazy, I think Zelastra is actually one of the more interesting Disney villains. They're like, I
agree.
Again, she's kind of like Dark Knight Joker-y in a sense, where it's like, you know, she just has to have these kind of plans that are on top of plans that are on top of plans.
I mean, literally the cases with the bombs, I could think, because she has the cards and the cases with the bombs, all I could think of was in the Dark Knight, the bombs and the cards.
Very much like Dark Knight Joker. And again, I think that she's actually one of the better Disney villains. And so I would be, hey, Gabby. Thank you.
Gabby, that was so kind of you. I know you didn't stick with the. Yeah, that was so kind. Well,
yes.
Thank you. And I hope
you're finishing the book and breaking it down so I don't have to go back. Oh, you didn't like it, or you weren't reading it, Gabby?
Gabby commented on our post that she was like, she just, because of she said early on in the chat as well, we didn't bring it up, but because of the constant switching around, she just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, it's tough. It was, but yeah, I think Zelastra is actually interesting. I do think that she's actually like, it's a different side of like, it's kind of like how Thrawn's dangerous. Like she's clever and she's like, and so that's an interesting thing to put a Jedi up against.
Yeah.
So, because it's not like, ooh, bad guy with lightsaber. So I will say that I do like that. And
especially because most of the time we see Jedi, usually it's like either against Sith, Imperial, or Separatist, you know? And it's like we rarely ever get to see, I love when Jedis go up against Jedis. What am I, some plebeian? Jedi go up.
Reader.
Yeah, I clearly I can't read. Jedi singular and plural, no S. Is when they go up against crime lords and gangs and stuff. Like, I mean, I grew up playing like Jedi Outcast, right? And like my most vivid memory of that game and my favorite thing of why I have this lightsaber right here is because I loved the scene of he goes to Nar Shaddaa and he goes into a bar and he's like just trying to get some information, and then of course all of the gangs and stuff like pull out their blasters and they all work for like the main Rhodian gang leader, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like and so of course this was a little bit more silly and kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just like this is definitely tonally 180 from something like Plagueis where Palpatine's like you know, so yeah.
But what's your favorite part, Will?
The beginning.
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Gotcha. I just the more that we get of Qui-Gon around this time, the more I honestly enjoy Obi-Wan as a young Padawan, like as a learner. I love seeing Obi-Wan as that character. He's one of the only characters in Star Wars where like he's honestly, at least from my perspective, likable from the time he is a child at the beginning of where we see him through all the way through into obviously Return of the Jedi, like like by his end. And even when he pops up, you talk about Heir to the Empire, like even his scene at the beginning of Heir to the Empire where he's a Force ghost saying he has to leave, like all of that stuff, like from a Jedi learner as a kid through, there's always more stuff that you can fill in with Obi-Wan's story that honestly it hits every time. And the beginning stuff with Qui-Gon, look, I'll take as much Qui-Gon as I can get, but the stuff with Obi-Wan where I think it's really cool a lot of times in Star Wars, the Master and the Apprentice are similar in a lot of ways. It's a lot like a parent-child sort of deal. But Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are so much more like Batman and Robin different, where they're like where they challenge each other, where it's like he's like, you really think you should be doing that, Master? Remember what happened last time? Where even like there's obviously the Obi-Wan and Anakin sort of deal where, but come time for Revenge of the Sith, they're more brothers and they're kind of on that same length. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, like I said with the Batman and Robin thing, I really like the young Obi-Wan style. Honestly, this is the closest I felt to like, you know, the concept art for Phantom Menace where it was supposed to be more about like young Obi-Wan and he's got like the samurai ponytail and all that stuff. Like that's what I can see from Obi-Wan if we ever got like that version of prequel Star Wars. I feel like it would be this version of Obi-Wan that we got at the beginning of this book, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's insane to me, that we have never ever gotten young Obi-Wan and his mission with Satine. That should be a book. That could be an anime, like that could be a Tales of the Jedi arc right there. I want that to happen. Like
they're sitting on that because there's so many people. Literally, the one thing that comes up is always Obi-Wan and Satine. You killed Satine. You shouldn't have killed Satine. Blah blah blah. Like it's always they're sitting on that, dude. They know that that's just an easy.
It's also too that like, don't you think it would be too much like the parts of Attack of the Clones that people don't like? You don't think it's going to be too much like Anakin and Padme, like them on a mission together, and it's like, well, I kind of like you, and it's like, oh, I kind of like you too, but our duties, we can't.
But Will, pull up the shirt. Pull it up. It's like poetry, Seth.
I was gonna think like if I had to see it, I think why I would be more interested versus and look, I'm not a hater of the Anakin Padme stuff in Attack of the Clones. I know a lot of people are of like, oh, it's so great, like it's not Star Wars. They're making out, holding hands. Shut up. But with that, I think it would be more like. Yeah, I think it would be more like Leia and Han, honestly, where like
you think it's gonna get that romantic?
Not necessarily that romantic, but more like bantery, where they're like flirting, but trying to like one up each other. Like Obi-Wan's obviously like, stand back, I'll help you, and Satine will just like blast somebody with a blaster.
I mean, that
like,
is
I can help myself.
To
you know what I mean?
To Seth's point, that is also kind of Anakin and Padme, but I do think
Attack of the Clones version of that, where it's like obviously the wedding and them rolling around in flowers and then being like, yeah, are you an angel? Like. You're so beautiful.
He doesn't ask that again.
It's so beautiful in the sun with the flowers. Like,
it's just like you've grown to more beautiful.
I mean, deleted scene with the fruit, like not that is what I.
Well, what about what do you call this? Aggressive negotiations? Yeah, that
right.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a scene that
they don't have that. I'm just saying, like when I think of Anakin and Padme in Attack of the Clones, like the majority of their time together is like the romantic, like, oh, I have to go save Padme, but really you're just there because you're like, oh, I get to be here for work right now. Like all of this is on company time. I hang out with my girl. Like that's what I'm thinking of. Not so much like I guess the end with Geonosis and all that stuff, but you don't see like Padme and Anakin like on a mission together.
Well, also, I'm thinking also the difference is, although it's similar plot threads, it's like I got the implication that Satine was like actively like being like Padme is being hunted, but after the incident on Coruscant, she is never attacked ever again. Like she's perfectly safe on Naboo, and of course Anakin's with her. Whereas I got the implication that on Mandalore that it was like a war zone. Like it was like there was like a full on like uprising on Mandalore, not like Siege of Mandalore levels, but like terrorist attack, and it's like Obi-Wan and Satine by themselves in like a bunker for like months on end. Like it's just them trying to survive, and Qui-Gon's out there trying to do stuff, and Obi-Wan's like. And of course they're naturally going to grow closer to one another.
And like moving in between positions and stuff like that. Because too, like you think of Bo and then you think of like how much of a warrior and like it's
Maybe good
Mandalore.
bow
Like,
content too.
exactly. Like it's Mandalore. Like you grow up into that world of like you're trained and doing all of that stuff as a child, and like that's in school and all of that. So like obviously Satine's going to be able to hold her own for a little bit. I think that's more of the dynamic that would be interesting to me.
It's like a weird hybridization.
Maybe it's awesome. Maybe
it would be
I'll
pretty
retract
awesome.
my statement.
I'm
Maybe it'll be cool.
I also
Cloverfield
don't
Lane
think they would
on
do
Mandalore.
That is honestly a great likening. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that, dude. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Great movie, dude. That's a great movie. Will, you were going to say something, and I feel like I cut you off.
I also, with how seemingly aware of how much they listen to loud audiences online now in terms of Star Wars, when you think of like normies watching Attack the Clones, what their complaints with it are, a lot of it is the Anakin Padme stuff. And I just don't know if they would do that level of romance again, where it's not like paired with like the battle and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I get you.
Like, or George will jump in and be like, I don't care. This is going to be an entire movie about one dinner date.
I like the idea that, like, again, it's poetry, they rhyme thing, where it is very similar in nature of Anakin was protecting Padme because she's under this threat. But of course, they are not taken away, right? Like Anakin, it's like war happens and it's like they're actively with each other all the time. Whereas I like the idea that with Obi-Wan and Satine, it's similar. They're getting all this time together. It's in a war zone. They're like, they're together all the time. They're there for one another. They're really the only points of human contact. Naturally, you're going to grow closer with that person. But then suddenly, the conflict is over. They settle it. And then it's time for Obi-Wan to go home. And he does not see her again for years, right? Like it's the inverse of they are with each other all the time because it's Jedi Knight and Senator, but versus ruler of a planet, Jedi never see each other again. Got to go back to. It's like quintessentially to kind of connect back to Living Force. Like, you know how there's like people like in summer camps, they get their little crushes and stuff, and you get your camp girlfriend or whatever, and it's like you're there for a month, and it's like, all right, well now I got to go home, and you never see him again. Right, back to reality. And that's what I like. And then, when they're back together again, it's like, again, similar to Padme and Anakin, but it's them, like, they're like school kids again, right? Or they're like, oh my gosh, like, but they're so different now. One is a full-on ruler, and the other is Tony. Well, the other is now a Jedi Master, and it's like, well, they've grown up but it's fun to see those little callbacks of Satine being like, the beard hides too much of your handsome face, and you're like, man, this is so sweet.
For the sake of the it's poetry side of things, do you think that in some ways you can look at what happened with Anakin and Padme as a reason as to why Obi-Wan is like, obviously this can't work because you guys tried to sneak around and make it work, and your attachment turned into the destruction of the galaxy. Like, obviously not on that big of scale, but where Obi-Wan, like when Satine dies and they're like, oh, it's always been you and blah, blah, blah. And like in a different life, it would have been the two of us together. Whereas Anakin and Padme were like, no, we're going to make it work in this life. And obviously it doesn't. I think it's a very cool mirroring of like Jedi falling for having that attachment, and Obi-Wan and Satine being like, we can't do this. Obviously, Obi-Wan being the one who's like, I'm a Jedi. This is not right. I cannot.
Even though later on, it literally is the alter. It's the what. I feel like Anakin and Padme are the what if of Satine and Obi-Wan, because
it's a very bad ending example if you think about it.
It's like they both die. It's just a matter of like, Obi-Wan stays on the path of the light.
Yeah.
And has to go through all these sacrifices. I mean, he even says to her, like, had you said the word, I would have left. I would have left the Jedi Order. Like, that's how down bad he was for Satine, right?
Yeah.
Which I say that is kind of like in a downplaying way, but I mean that like truly. He was in love with her, right? And I remember like I was helping a dear friend of mine and of ours, Tales from Tatsu Station, writing his what if, and I remember like the commonality of when the what if of that of Anakin coming forward and actually speaking to Obi-Wan about it, and Obi-Wan being like, Anakin, I've been there. Like you, like we've never really talked about it, but like I know exactly what you feel like, and like I'm here to help you, sort of thing. And of course, that never does happen canonically. But I remember really enjoying workshopping through that conversation because I was like, that is the parallel, right? Like Obi-Wan became the disciplined
why he's not
warrior.
too hard on it.
Yeah,
right. Like in Revenge of the Sith, that it's like I think he
already
there,
knows.
You know what I mean?
He knows it in his heart.
Yeah, and I think that he's not yelling or whatever. I guess the father, isn't he? Like just losing his mind. Yeah, or just like that it's like okay.
He pulls
right, this is what I'm dealing with.
Tobey Maguire. Like imagine Obi-Wan pulling a Tobey Maguire and like Brothers. He's just like freaking out.
I love it.
It's probably another like heartstring to why Obi-Wan is so like he cares so much. Obviously from the Kenobi show we see with Leia, but like with Luke and stuff like that, of obviously it's Anakin's and Padme's like his friends' kids. But the thing of like, oh, they were able to like make it work. Padme was pregnant and then they both died. Like I wasn't able to have that with Satine, but the kids are still around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's probably another
something positive can come from this tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the this is so
new hope, if you will.
I was gonna say this is so TikTok coded, but like there's that like Joe Keery song that blew up for like 6 months straight of like that Chicago song or whatever. Like
what's the band that is
I'm blanking. It's his like alter. He's kind of like DJO. DeJoe, yeah. He says there's a part he's like people have made like little edits to this, or he's like another version of me, and it's like that's kind of what Anakin and Padme are of how did we get here, bro? How did we? I remember how we got.
I don't know.
We were talking about Obi-Wan and how he's the GOAT, and Seth,
is
Obi-Wan your favorite character?
Well, no, favorite Jedi, yes.
Oh, who is your number one in your character list?
My favorite character?
Yeah.
I like Anakin and Darth Vader.
Oh, okay.
And
Basic. No, I'm kidding. It's pretty great.
It's fine. Whatever. I can just go down. I like Han Solo.
Great. Love it.
I like Boba Fett and Din Djarin. They're kind of tied because they're kind of the same thing. I like Obi-Wan. Then I like Palpatine. There's your top 5.
It's a good top 5, man.
Okay. I'm sorry that's basic.
I was kidding, bro. Anakin and Vader, like...
Sorry, I'm mid.
I didn't say that, dude. You have Skibbity Riz. No cat.
Oh, God. That's the end of this stream, dude. And later, guys. Wow.
I would have liked if you were still attached to your computer and just like...
just the cord.
Just rips the whole thing down. Well, I didn't say my favorite moment, but my favorite moment probably... Oh Lord, I don't know. I like the Depa Billaba stuff. I think the scene that sticks out to me the most
it's like
was
Last Jedi. That's the good through line.
Right? That's the Rey Kylo stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's like the real plot of it.
Right. Yeah, and specifically like there's that scene where Kylo's like running away, and then they get like T-boned by the gang, and Zalastra shows up, and she's like on the roof in the rain on. What is that other planet called? I don't remember. It was another one of the planets, not Valbaron, but is it Keldween? Oh, there's another Dween. I forgot. And she's like on the roof with the blasters, and like people are like shooting. Like I was like, visually, that scene really pops to me, and I was like, oh, Depa Billaba. Like I get the like seeing more of her. I think even John Jackson Miller said like it was cool to write her because he was already familiar with Kanan a little bit. In A New Dawn, and so it was like getting to see the legacy of that, like, because like Depa Billaba has a lot of stuff in. By the way, saying her name, like her first and last name, dude, it's so funny because my dad has. It might be on your lightsabers too, but my dad has a Luke lightsaber that has all these sound fonts, and one of them is Depa Billaba. But like, and it goes Depa Billaba, Depa Billaba.
Like the Clone Wars.
Yes,
guy.
it's literally
Yeah.
does your guys' lightsaber do that too?
I believe it does.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
It's all preloaded sound fonts, so
The galaxy is at war.
yeah. Yeah.
Lava travels to an unknown system.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Yeah, that stuff was dope. But I am so ready to read about Luke Skywalker in literally any book. You have no idea.
Fine, we can read.
He's in Shadow of the Sith, Seth. We have to
we can
deliberate.
read
Shadow
Heir
of the Sith. Sith.
Empire. That's fine. I know that's what everybody wants to read, so we can read that.
I'm okay with Air. I would prefer Shadow of the Sith, but I'm okay with Air.
I think it literally is like it's 2 and 2 because I believe you're getting some inside talk here. Gabby said she loved the conversation, so I'm glad. I believe it's Seth
Gabby,
and I.
what do you want us to read?
Yeah, Gabby, Air Trilogy or Shadow of the Sith. I got both on my shelf. Whatever. I just got to get my boy Tatooine Traders to make a Shadow of the Sith shirt, please. That would be sick.
There's been a lot of Dark Empire stuff coming out. Do you see
Dark Empire?
Yeah, they did the Hot Toys. They did the Gentle Giant just did a statue. There's been a lot of Dark Empire stuff. There's the thing that Seth just sent in the chat. The
that animated thing.
The animated thing, which is sick.
It was pretty
That
cool.
thing is so sick.
I used to like just by proxy not like Dark Empire, and now it's been getting a lot of love lately. And I'm like, listen,
Dude, it's fun.
It's fun.
I like it.
I don't love Luke falling to the dark side. I don't mind.
He was put in a no-win situation. What would you do?
Yeah.
What happened specific? Maybe we'll read the
Did
6
you not
issues.
watch the video that I sent?
No, I didn't have time.
Dude, watch it.
He
It's
goes-
really fun.
Basically, he shows up, like Palpatine captures him in R2.
Mhm.
Palpatine's like, listen, you need to take your father's place, or you could strike me down. It's your choice. But guess what? I'm just gonna go into a new body. So what are you gonna do? So basically, he's put in a no-win situation because, he's not gonna let me leave.
Yeah.
And so he's like, it's okay. I'll take him down from the inside. I'll figure out all these secrets, and that's his plan.
Admiral Enigma?
Exactly. But then in doing so, he ends up falling to the dark side.
Yep.
Admiral
Then you got to get
Enigma?
Leia in there, dude. It's fun. It's a fun story.
Yeah.
Leia's in it
cool.
though. Is she force sensitive in the middle of it? Well, I guess this is after Dark Empire's after
Leia's
Air.
super force sensitive at this point.
Yeah. She already had the twins?
No, isn't Dark Empire's before Air?
No.
Isn't it?
No. Dark Empire's after.
I thought they
because
made
there's
fun
that-
of it.
Well, they made fun of
in a
there's-
later book.
In a later
Is that
book,
in Dark
Mara
Forces
Jade
Rise?
says the thing.
Yeah.
She like makes a like. I think that's because a lot of people think that Timothy Zahn didn't like Dark Empire because of something like that.
I
don't
mean,
know.
the way he writes Luke in Heir to the Empire, from what I've read, is phenomenal. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think, the Dark Empire. So does that means does she have the twins at the point of Dark Empire?
That's in Dark Empire 2. She actually has the twins. I
Okay,
think she figures out
because
she's pregnant in Dark Empire.
yeah,
no, in Air she's pregnant. She's already 3 months pregnant.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
really
because they're in the Imperial Palace. You
I'm
can
trying
tell how
to
much I
remember.
like Air.
I'm trying to
She's
think-
in the
I'm trying to
Imperial
think of the panel of like the birth of the kids.
because maybe the kids are born in Dark Empire. I can't believe there's a second Dark Empire. That's insane.
And there's Empire's End.
Yeah,
What is Empire's End? Is that Dark Empire
Where
3?
Palpatine finally, they kill the last clone of Palpatine.
So is Dark Empire 1, 2, and Empire's End, is that like effectively the Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising,
Yes.
and it's a
Yes.
trilogy. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And here, I'll just ruin it for you because I know we're not going to read it. Han kills Palpatine. He's actually the one to kill him.
Yo,
Han shoots the
what?
last
No,
clone.
I
Yeah.
want to read that now.
Han shoots the last clone.
That is, what does he do? Is it like literally just like,
Yeah, his plan is that he's gonna go into one of the kids.
Oh.
That's what his ultimate end goal is he wants Leia so he can go into one of the kids, and Han caps him before he gets the chance.
yeah. Maybe we'll do a
That's-
poll of which one we should read then.
We should, because Gabby said they're both on our TBR. Listen, no matter what, we're getting around to both of them regardless. That's all high on our... I mean, Will has read everything in the sun because this man can just listen to audiobooks on the livelong day, and I can't keep up. Seth, I know you're ahead of me because I'm a young gun who don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? You've read Shadows of the Empire, the Dark like you've done all of that stuff. Like I'm behind.
I like visual stuff, so like I've read all those comics, and then too that like you got to realize I'm old. So
You're not
like
old. I said I'm a young gun. All right,
I'm
I didn't say you were old.
Yes,
yeah, you're
like,
TVC and I'm Black Series, which means I'm lower quality.
There you go.
Well,
there you go. So that's why I just have a couple years on you. Well, like that's why I've read all this stuff.
It's true. I'm going to get there. My dad has been going through a lot of the books. This man can read a book in like 3 days, and he bought all of the new Jedi Order and like Legacy of the Force books. Like it's
like
insane.
The old school Legacy of the Force books.
Yeah, so like the stuff with like Darth Caedus and all of that.
That stuff's so good. Oh,
it's like 13 books, dude.
Good stuff. Oh my gosh.
It is good. Yeah, he read like so. Dude, he read.
Darth Caedus doesn't get enough love. Like I love the idea of all that, where it's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go on this big quest, and I'm gonna like figure out all the best things that the Force uses.
Hold on, Seth. We're gonna keep it going. Will has to go. I knew he had to go here soon. I was trying to get it done by 6, but
well, we could call it. We'll throw the flag.
Okay.
Bull, white towel. It's all right.
You don't want to just riff me and you for the next well, I don't even think I can end the stream, actually. I think he literally...
I literally have to end it. That's why I'm like... I apologize.
Yeah.
If I leave, it'll just be on. It'll be like that time where my computer like crashed.
Oh, that's right.
On stream.
Can you give me permissions?
Yeah, that's probably a smart idea, and
we'll do that in the future.
How to do that?
Tony said I can end it for you.
And all of this stuff. Here's the thing. You know what's great about all this is that if we did this more often, we could have these exact same convos.
We should.
Often.
Yeah.
Next week.
Sure.
All right.
I could be around.
All right, guys. Thank you all. You can follow us Beyond the Dune Sea, Will of the Force. I'm doing the opposite sides. They're right there. Mortis FM. We're all around. We love you all. May the Force be with you. And remember, if they're not in our records, then they do not exist.
Yeah! He remembered!
I did it!